nature of employment. In the last 2 years, if you were to really look at the extent of flexibility which companies have been demanding and getting is very high. I used to run a company which is into HR services of different kinds, and in the last 2 years I made a transition personally to create new businesses in business consulting, analytics, microfinance, and education. So as I see this transition personally, I think you're right, there's a huge demand for relooking at processes inside, outsource them or chop them, the chipping, chopping, which people are very resistant. I see more and more organizations coming out. It's not only the large companies. Even in MSMEs, I see this trend. Fairly large number of them opting for cloud-based ERP and all that stuff, which was earlier the preserve of the larger companies. So I think that's one trend. Two, I see many of them wanting connected solutions, especially even in my own company earlier, 70,000 temps floating around in 1,000 locations. For them to stay connected, to give handheld devices was an important need in this particular industry. If you can call it an industry. So I really think there's a convergence of technology and managerial processes, which I think have been given an acceleration in the last 2 years, partly due to the external reality, partly due to a much higher awareness. Though in this country, the ecosystem, legal and otherwise, hasn't changed, I think the last 2 years, government has been a big spender in terms of many things relating to technology deployment. So I think that's another important reason in my view. And frankly, I've not had too many clients who've experienced this acuteness of the recession or whatever, the kind of preamble with which you started. I actually didn't see many of my clients experience them. They found their own ingenious solutions and the new industries have been springing up. Analytics is one industry you can see. For instance, 50,000 people have been hired within the last 2 years in the analytics industry itself. India has always managed to spawn newer and newer industries in order to cope with this traumatic movement down. That's my honest view. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Mr. Samsundar?
Yeah.
Very contrarian view. Okay, so I'm saying if you look at any business, okay, so there are two things which are key: efficiency and innovation, right? So, right. So, what is efficiency? Efficiency is something where you will be able to do a cost leadership, right, which helps you to this thing. And efficiency is something where you will be able to standardize your. So that's where you actually have efficiency coming in, right? On the other side, you have innovation. Innovation is on products, innovation on practices, which is contrary to what I said, standardization of practices and processes, right? And time to market. So if you look at all these are key drivers for an enterprise as you grow and in the time of recession as well as in the growth this thing, to say how do you leverage and get more out of it. Technology, according to me, is a platform, right? I'm sure there are multiple ERP solutions, multiple cloud-based offering, right? As a company, I will take one. I'm sure a competitor will take another one tomorrow, right? So it all depends on the DNA of the company and how do you want to integrate that technology to ensure that you get your act right, right? So as long as that's definitely a cultural change, and I think the leadership companies are one which are able to manage that cultural change well, right? So because all of us, like we said, data, right? We have tons of data, and then it comes to analysis paralysis, right? I get data, I really don't know what I need to do it, right? So you just dump data. All of us have data. So it's all on how and what you would really want and how it gets embedded into your DNA. And I think there are companies who are working towards it, and it's an evolving journey, and then technology changes by the day, right? So you get something today, and then you look at it, there is someone who comes and tells you that, oh, whatever mobile technology you've got, that's all obsolete. You have something new, right? You think about it, you get a policy, or there is a collection coming in. So yeah, so it's more of managing that change, which is according to me pretty important. as long as we understand that technology is just one platform, which, and then it is a strategic driver, I mean, not just an enabler or a support function, but then how do you use it is the key. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Tiwari, teething problems?
Well, I represent the BPO industry actually, and we are based out of India and Philippines, which are both very important players in
Huge
the
hubs. Yeah.
huge hubs. And for us, fortunately, the currency is helping us, so we're doing all right. So I'm not too worried about the business side of it. But I mean, most of our business is in the West. So we have done quite well this year, and we have been doing quite well. But the more important thing for us has been the whole print versus digital thing. Because for so many years you would be hearing this. The print is dead. The print is dead, and it hasn't really happened. And it continues to be said. For us, the challenge has been how do I address the entire value chain from the author to the reader. And till recently, the whole value chain stopped perhaps at the print side. Now the whole value chain is going much beyond the print side. So all the devices, the handles and the iPads and so on and so forth, they are the ones who are driving the revolution for the digital. So for us, it's important that you completely, reinvent yourself and be ready for the revolution as it keeps on happening. And what we have been able to do, is that we have been, the content is still the king, and then you do the enrichment of the content, you do the enhancement of the content. So you complement the whole value chain of the print with this, so that you're completely safe, so to say. And I think that's where we as because most of our clients are all big publishers of the world. All the publishers of the world are clients, and they don't really have any answers on how to monetize the content. So nobody's ready to pay. We still have to make the content go digital. So it's a very tricky situation right now. But I mean, we continue to do that because we are into the entire value chain.
Perfect. Mr. Prasad? It's already on. It should be on. Yep.
Okay. We manufacture the least glamorous product one can think of. It's aluminum die castings for commercial vehicles. We are one of the largest in the country. Being a primary converter, metal stack, what you call the smokestack industry, it has its own challenges. What we did in the last 5 years is we balanced our portfolio, both segment-wise, geographic-wise, so that the business cycles will not hit as hard. They will hit, but they will not hit as hard. As a result, this year we are having a flat year. Fortunately, there is no degrowth. And what we did using this opportunity, we are focusing on productivity internally in multifaceted way, energy productivity, employee productivity, more than that, working capital productivity. So we export 40% of our product, and we deliver to customers on just-in-time basis worldwide from 30 locations using 3PL warehouses. Okay. We have situations quite often where we have worries about excess inventory and also worries about air freighting short, quick components to this one. So we focused on that and then using technology, SAP system and this one. Okay. We are able to bring down these incidents quite well and then release a lot of cash.
Okay. If I could quickly get gentlemen out here to quickly come in on deployment challenges, teething issues on when you're trying to introduce newer processes which are aimed at increasing productivity and efficiency.
You see, for organizations which are customer-facing organizations, the challenge is much of the business is coming from rural areas.
Yep.
and rural customer is not tech savvy. So you have to deliver your services there, and technology can only do so much. You can, at best, technology in my case, it helps me reorganize myself internally and see that I have data accuracy. I tell the customer what he owes to me, the exact figure, the right figure, and I am able to account things as and when they happen. So the on the ground challenge, doing business, I think for, I'm sure it holds good for Kalyan also, the challenges remain as it is. Nothing much is changed there. So we continue with our direct approach processes for those customers. And I would say that even customers who are in mid segment like rural and urban, even they are also not tech savvy. So you have, that's why I said we open branches and go near the customer, because you have to speak his language. So I would say technology for me has only made me internally capable, internally strong, so that I'm able to handle more and more customers. But in terms of deployment of people, I don't see any change, because I'm still a people-centric organization. I connect with customers still through my people.
Avinash, if you could come in on this, what are the usual challenges that you help companies, take care of when you're helping them, implement a solution, whether it's conferencing or connectivity?
Yeah, so typically the first thing, so there are three, just to, explain to you what organizations are doing with us. The applications that we have on the mobile phone help you collect a check a little more efficiently, make a sale a little more efficiently. You have a form online which you can actually pick up and it's digitized. Or there are applications which help you track that individual. Is he doing his job in an appropriate manner? A ticket logged by a customer or a contact center is passed onto the field on a mobile device, so that you track him as to how many calls he's doing, he's actually following the rule. The key challenges which the organizations seem to have is cultural, people related. There is a lot of rejection of the technology, it's not working. And so there are systems and processes to bring that also in place. The other challenge which seems to be also coming about is that with the distributed nature that organizations have come to become, the ethos of the organization, the culture of the organization is becoming that much more difficult to actually deploy. So again, there are technologies being brought about to help better collaboration with each other, video conference, between rooms, with people, so that there is a personal touch in a highly distributed organization. Those are elements which are coming in to basically keep the organization in touch with the employee and vice versa as well, and address challenges around this is an enabler. The organization is trying to communicate this is an enabler, efficiency driver for you, not that essentially for you to be tracked or traced, etc. These are what organizations are typically.
Avinash, I'd like to stay with the same topic of deploying, and going by what Mr. Pandya and Mr. Sundarajan said, when you're trying to either get us, when you're deploying changes as such, what is the best effective way of deploying these changes? Do you do a sea change at once, or do you do incremental? What has worked, what hasn't worked? Ma'am?
Just to touch upon that, I think he raised a very interesting point. It's more to do with the culture than anything else, because whenever we touch upon a legacy system, obviously the friction from people mindset is the biggest problem to handle with rather than anything else. And the simplest cause that they could quote is technology error. They might immediately blame, okay, your solution is not working. So for us, like again, we went across this because for every business there is a consolidation phase, there is an expansion phase. So obviously during the consolidation phase, we have to look at efficiency. So when we start deploying some re-engineering tools, that time people start becoming, little, like they become like a little finicky. They think that we are trying to cannibalize whatever they are trying to do. And especially for our kind of a business, where online the service is rendered online, but we do collect payments offline. And people, mostly our feet on street or telesales guys, they try to push offline payments because that's where they gain, incentives or whatever. So, and when we try to encourage them through systems and processes, trying to shift more of the payments to the online channel, they have some kind of a fear, a psychological thing like, are we trying to cannibalize our own channel? So they get resistant. So generally, we to answer to your question, to be precise, we generally don't take a risk of taking it across because we have 170 branches across the country. We also have close to 1,000 people, which includes feet on street and telesales, put together all the portals that we run. So we generally do a pilot in one of the branches, and we usually pick Chennai because our head office is here. We have better control, better process. So we try here, we see what is the success, and based on that we replicate. Having said that, it's always a double-edged sword. We have to be very cautious when we are communicating to people. As you rightly said, if we don't communicate that we are trying to help them, they might think that we are trying to overlook or monitor them, or try to restrict them or trying to find faults with them. So I think we have to be very cautious with the communication piece.
I'd like to spend some more time on that discussion out there, the cultural reception or the receptivity of solutions which are aimed at helping them do their job better, really, at the end of the day. How has it been received? What is the kind of resistance that you have? How do you go about in helping them digest something which it's like a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down? What is the spoonful of sugar that you give them for them to ingest it and generally get help make your business go stronger? What's the model that has worked? What's the route there?
Training.
Okay.
Training. That's
Okay.
it. There's 3 T's to the technologies. If there are 3 more T's to add it to technology, and some people will interpret it as train the trainer.
Okay.
So, I'll just go back to collections since we started with it, and since that it involves hardware, software, connectivity, user, the whole works. The first set of devices, we have to remember that, like some speaker said, at the end use, at the customer, at the final point, it's a person who's not so very educated about the technology, not so very aware of it, and he's going to look askance at the technology. He's going to see, is this machine going to take me out of a job 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line? So first reassurance we had to give him is no. You will be able to, and how will it help you perform better? Today you're cutting 25 receipts per month. Take any efficiency, some number, 50 per month. It will help you cut 150. Once it helps you cut 150, what will be the impact on your incentive? You'll have to link it to pay, and you'll have to translate the technology save into a number that he understands. This is not a number that a CFO, I would have told our CFO, I would have done a lot of my own back of the envelope, front of the envelope, jugaad, everything to make sure that I pass the proposal through. But this is not what I expected when I go out into that field. I have to talk to him in his salary slip language. How is it going to impact and what is there? Second part is, once we started deploying the technology, we found that it was working exactly the reverse of what we thought, which means that we expected this mobile device to help when the number of customers at the queue build-up in the counter is very high. This will be used a lot. We actually went, in our field trials, we found that 2-3 of our key branches, they were not using it on that day. Cut to find out why, what happened. It turned out that 2 months ago, there was some huge network blackout in that particular area. The device had collapsed. This guy didn't call up. He had a lot of 50 customers on that. And we had given him the manual alternative also. So out comes the receipt book, chuck, complete this job and move on. And then so this has spread slowly in only that territory. We found that we have deployed a lot of devices, but the usage was coming down after peaking.
Okay.
So you actually had to find out that. Then that's when we embarked on this train the trainer, took a champion, made 25 champions across the country. We have about 5,000 field force across the country. We took 25 areas, 25 champions, trained them properly, put up videos, converted the videos into 6 languages, deployed it on our internet website. After that, the adoption started kicking in 35, 40, 45, 50. It's still not as happy as what our CEO would want it, but it's at least the journey is moving there slowly. Change management is less about head office. I think the change management is more about on the ground. Yeah. How are they viewing it, making it work? Business continuity at the last mile, I think, is more critical.
Yeah. I see Mr. Venkat Subramaniam nodding.
Yeah. See, for all the challenges, what is the right strategy, IT strategy we need to adopt? The problem is, in the industry, especially in an industry like ours, the systems what we have have been developed or available in the last 10 years or so. But the technologies change so fast. Today, an individual engineer, with a young engineer who joins the company, who already has got much more advanced devices with him. He got an iPad, he got an iPhone, he got free access to the internet and so on and so forth. Yeah. But when you want to come in and work in a company environment where systems are much, they are more hierarchical, more controlled, and more systematic, which people don't accept. The challenge is we have an SAP, we have ERP, all that. Still, we can't get away with our Excel sheets. Something has to be taken from 10 different screens, put down, compared manually, and then to be given. When I keep saying my chief IT guy, if I can Google it, I can get it in 3 seconds. And I don't get anything in 3 seconds in my desktop, though we have all the systems. So the challenge is, how do we make people to use the system more efficiently? That's why I said the knowledge today we are missing. Information is available, systems are available, but I don't think we have changed the systems, we adapted to the new way of thinking and make it more efficient. So today, my biggest challenge is, how do we make these IT systems more efficient? How do we make people, the systems user-friendly so that people are able to use these systems in a much more easier manner? And that's been our biggest challenge, because otherwise, the youngsters simply give up. He says, this is nonsense, and they go back. Okay, so I need to keep them motivated to improve things.
I'm getting tempted to, quote an example from maybe Airtel itself.
Yeah.
A lot of technology, we are a technology-led company, right? Nothing gets delivered without technology. So we were finding this difficult to make people more efficient, and Excel sheets were always a challenge,
Yeah.
still remains a challenge. Maybe, you've given an application on the system, but, adoption of that application is still a challenge. I think it's driven by that organizational discipline, To quote an example, our travel cost was very high. We had, hugely, distributed organization, and we thought video conferencing would be really good. I'm talking about 5 years back, and, huge investment was made, and every office was video enabled. We saw that our option rate was not growing up. People still wanted to travel and do their meetings in the regions. Mr. Kohli decided that, okay, everybody who wants to travel has to come to me to take an approval. Okay, the delegation was taken away, and 3 weeks later, the adoption rate of video conferencing was like 90%. So at times, the spoon of sugar could be a stick or something similar to that, which drives. I can quote another example, very recent. We have this ECRM deployed on Oracle Financials. Everything is available in the system, but when it comes to reviews in the field, it's still happening on the Excel sheets, right? And we thought, how to get out of it, and how do we make it more efficient? So we took a call that, okay, there's a cost, we'll have to bear additional to it. So we created a parallel system, which is on salesforce.com, and now it is available to every individual and in the field. And we've made it mandatory, so maybe you can remove all your manual collection receipts from the field. And we made it mandatory that every report or every feedback which will come from the field will come from the salesforce.com system. We faced the challenge for first 3 months, but today 100% of our users are on that system. There are dashboards available. You can do a review in 5 minutes flat, because you don't need to spend one day through an MIS guy creating those Excel sheets, because it's there. You can see it, and you can customize your own dashboards at the fly, and it happens in the field. So while there is a call happening with the customer, there is a waiting period of 15 minutes. You can still open your iPad and have a quick discussion on something which is, you want to have a discussion on.
Allow me to add to that.
I think the greatest challenge today, which most of us are struggling with, is how to blend tech and touch. The high tech and high touch is a critical need today. High tech you can't get out of. All external imperatives force you on that. But I think in India, many of the companies seem to have, with all these managing through matrices, salary slip languages and all that, my suspicion is in the last 3-4 years, we are driving towards a little bit of a dry organization. And I think organizations which will truly succeed in this phase are people who actually blend high tech and high touch. And the need of the hour is really touch enhancing tech, really speaking. I mean, not all technology need to get people alienated from one another, right? So we really truly need that. And I think with all this flurry of social media, analytics and cloud and everything else, we should be a little careful on that, because in this country today, the distanciation among the employees is growing. Many examples, Manesars and Coimbatores, and I think at one level there's been a worsening industrial relations in this country, and it's also touching the service sector, disengaged employees. How many survey after survey is revealing them? In my view, I think true blending of tech and touch should be the priority in my view. So,
Fantastic. Of course, please.
Also, I think change management has to be communicated very meticulously and understanding sensitivities. A small example, we centralized all payments. So my guy at the branch thought that I have withdrawn his check signing powers. So I had to tell him I am making your job simple. So he says, you mean to say I can't sign a check? What will my people think? So
It's a fantastic cultural.
exactly. So the way we had to communicate this, and I said that before we withdraw, let us first talk to them and tell them that this is to allow them to have more time, more interaction with the customer, and we ensure that our people at the branch customer facing ends, they don't have to deal with too many papers. So they don't do big bookkeeping, they don't write vouchers and all that. So we completely centralized it. It took some time for people to understand, and now if you push the check back, I think they will throw it back on you.
Good place to be in.
Let me add to what Kishore says, a very unique little example in Chennai. We were based out of T Nagar, and our market, all our customers are mostly around 5 or 7 kilometers from there. That's what my team tells me. But actually what is there around 7 kilometers are residences. So people want to stay close to. We went through some consolidation drive. We consolidated 6 or 7 offices, and one was in Santhom and the other is close to Porur. So you can imagine everybody in Chennai wants to stay within T Nagar or around that area. We had a register. It used to be taken off at 9:45 so that we get to know who's come in time or not. And then we had the iPads coming in so that you can upload your cases online and people get to know and they act on it at the back end. We removed the register and we said you're free to come anytime and go anytime. No reviews. Reviews only on Fridays, cross-functional or manager reviews. We enabled them with audio conferencing. We have audio conferencing bridge. People finish a meeting, come out, sit in the car or at home, finish the audio conferencing, cross-functional interaction is over, reviews are on VC, on the iPad to the iPad. Otherwise, the VC room, which is next to my cabin, is choked. Even I don't get, a place to spend time on it. And we said that you can now upload your inquiry from the iPad, do it and go home. You do it from home, do it at your ease. We anticipated the movement of office and the travel up and down will do 2 things. Bring our business down, our funnel is going to come down, and increase our travel costs. And we took that call because the rent is damn aggressive out there. Our travel cost has gone down and our funnel is about 35 to 40% higher compared to the same period last time. Of course, targets have not reduced anything less. So, classic example of cultural shift. We said, okay, you please be in the field. No need to come out. Remove the register. Enable them with the technology, allowing the engagement to continue to happen, and we're seeing good adoption. Another example is that the leader of the organization was the first adapter of the technology. Our president, Gopal Vittal, was the first person who said, I want to see these funnels on my system. And that came down and all of us have started looking at it, and rather than asking the MS guy, can you give me this dashboard in a certain shape or form? We have started looking at it on the system. So those are few things which have happened which are leading to, I agree, that high touch and high tech both go together, enable the employee, and we are seeing a good amount of traction in that piece. Yeah.
Just to take on what you just said, it looks like you're trying to combine multiple roles out here. It's in cases of collections, collections can also lead to acquisitions, and that leads to more engagement. Within your respective organizations, are there newer roles that are being generated as a result of, technology and efficiency processes coming together and work being more optimized? Are there roles that you hadn't envisaged before which are now appearing